Hello all my JavaScript friends, this is TheVirtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is our racing game. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at BDD development. That's behavior-driven design or behavior-driven development. Unlike TDD, which basically says, I have a class here and I want to test to make sure I've got these particular properties and these particular methods do what I think they're going to do. BDD is all about, I've got this screen and I want to be able to have certain actions occur when a new button is clicked, or when I shift a object from one side of the screen to the other, I want to have certain other things occur. So the idea here is that based upon what the user is seeing on the screen, you want certain actions to occur. So what we're going to be looking at here is I have finally developed my very first page in the racing game. This is all there is. There's nothing else to it right now, but that's fine because we're going to be able to just test for this. And how do we do that? Well, if you're with me 2 videos ago, we talked about installing Cucumber and about feature files and things like that. We're going to do our first real feature file based upon the screen you just saw there. And basically, just very quickly, what I'm going to go over here, Cucumber is a plugin that goes into Cypress that uses the Gherkin language. And the Gherkin language was developed so that people who are outside of the computer industry can better understand what we are trying to test for. So instead of sitting there asking them, hey, you know, I'm going to have a describe statement that's going to have a couple of it conditions and things like that, where they're going to go, huh? This allows them to be able to, in a more common language way, to determine what's happening. So for example, I have a particular feature here that's just going to test the game. I have a number of scenarios that are going to occur, and these scenarios, let me just bring up a couple more of them here. These scenarios basically cover certain actions that I want to occur with the first screen here. So for example, at the very beginning, I'm basically going to have 3 different pieces to each scenario. One is a given, one is a when, and one is a then. The given basically says that given something is on the screen. So given in this particular case that I am on to the begin page where I have navigated to the begin page. The given is basically what is the status of the screen at this time. When an action occurs, in this case, when the first screen appears, something's going to happen. So the when statement says that once I've been given something, what actions am I going to take on the screen? And then when I have taken those particular actions, what is going to occur? In this case, that's when the thens are. So the thens are our test. And if you're used to TDD testing, basically the thens are the expects, while the its are the whens. So you could think of it this way, you know, if you're looking at regular TDD testing like we do, the scenario would be the described keyword, the given and the whens would be the it keyword, and the then piece would be the expect. In general, obviously it's not exactly like that, but in general. So you can give this to any person and they can basically say, oh, okay, yeah, when I navigate the first screen and the first screen appears, I should be able to see the header menu, I should see the main, I should see the footer, I should see the racing car title, I should not see the select car screen, I should not see the venue. And so each particular piece of the testing we want to do will always follow this. Here's a scenario where, you know, I've got a bunch of buttons at the top of the screen. I want to make sure that they're all displayed. Well, here they are. These are the buttons that I want displayed, and I should not see any other buttons than mentioned. Here's a scenario where I want to make sure that some buttons are active and some buttons are not active. So in this case, this entire group is inactive and this group is active. Then something's going to happen when I click on the new button, and then something's going to happen when I click on the exit, because those are our 2 active buttons. And that's all I'm going to test for. So all the testing is done to a feature. How do we know, or how does Cypress know what to test? Well, that's within the step definitions. And I've got a step definition here inside beginscreen.cy.js. And basically the idea here is that you also have within the step definition the given, the when, and the then. And the idea is that you will match the text that is located here to the test that's located inside the step definitions. For example, on the given, I navigate to the begin page. There should be a given inside here that says I navigate to the begin page, and there it is. So whenever Cypress looks through this feature and finds out whenever there is a given I have launched the racing game, which occurs in every one of my scenarios, it now knows to go to this routine and do a cy.visit the index page. Whenever it finds the word when the first screen appears, it knows it needs to go to when the first screen appears and do whatever it has to do. Now, in our case, we just want the screen to come up, but let's say you are loading up a venue or loading up a track, and that takes some time to load it in from the system and then to display it on the screen. You want to have some sort of mechanism inside your program to say, hey, I'm ready to go. That's what will occur inside here. Now, in this case, we're just opening up the screen, so there's really nothing for us to do. You also will notice down at the bottom here from a natural language point of view here, I have a when the first screen appears and I click on the new button. This is just, I really didn't have to do this, but I did it anyway. The and is basically another when. So I also have that right here. I click on the string button, but I want you to notice something very interesting. Notice this has the word string in it. What I said was when I click on the new button, but that's not what this says. It's when I click on the string button. This is something special within the within Cucumber or within Cucumber and Cypress that basically says I'm going to replace the text that's between I click on the and button with a string, and I'm going to pass that over to you. So then I can use that as a variable within my system here so that I can more generalize a particular method. Because basically, if you think about it, when I want to click on the new button and when I click on the exit button, it's the exact same function, a click. It's just on different buttons. So I just need to know what the different buttons are. And that's what the new and exit does. And that's what this string does here too. That's the reason that when I do the then, oh, and by the way, the thens work exactly the same way as the when and the given. As long as it matches the text that I have here, I should see the header menu. I should have a then that says I should have the header menu. So there it is right there. I should see the header menu. So Cypress knows to execute this particular instruction whenever it sees the then, I should see a header menu. So there's where you see the header menu. There's the main, there's the footer, there's the racing game title. There's where I should not see the select cars. I should not see the venue. Here's where I should find whether a button is active or not. Again, I use the string thing, the string variable here so that I could just have one then to cover all of this. Well, that one's both active and inactive. So here's the active, here's the inactive. And here is, I should see the string button, which will cover all of these right there. So that's basically really all there is to it. It's very easy to work with. Now, one other thing I want to show you, and this is Cypress best practice, is that I'm not accessing any of the elements on the screen based upon an ID or based upon any selector, or based upon an ID or based on a class selector or anything. I'm basing everything upon a data test ID. If we go back to our index.html file, I got data test ID on everything I want to test. This is called the best practice, so this way you can put the data test ID on any type of element no matter where it is, and it knows where to get it. So if this happens to change button new, happens to change to something else, it doesn't matter because the test ID won't change, and that's perfectly okay. Overkill? Yes. Now I happen to have code, or will happen to have code when I put this into production that will strip out all of the data test IDs so they won't show up. That just makes life a whole lot easier. But for right now, this is a best practice in Cypress. Anything you want to test, make sure it has a data test ID so that all of your tests will get to the data test ID. So that's basically all it really is to it. Just very quickly, when I click on the string button, there's my click event that I'm running. Then I should see the header menu. I'm just checking to make sure it's visible. Make sure the main is visible. Make sure the footer is visible. Make sure that the blank screen is visible and it has the word racing game. So I kind of just did this just for funsies where I have both of them put together. You really can't see that, can you very well. Let me put it on another line. There we go. So this basically allows me to, you see, I can chain a bunch of shoulds together. You know, when I should not see the car, there's my not be visible. When I say if it's active, I'm checking to make sure it is not disabled. When a button is inactive, I'm making sure that it is disabled. And then down here is my one routine where I'm saying that, you know, I should see no other buttons than the ones mentioned. So I only want those 6 buttons that are listed up here. I'm sorry, I want those 7 buttons that are listed up there. As long as I have those 7 buttons that are listed up there, then I should be okay. So you want to watch it run? Let's watch it run. Now I have purposely put in here some error messages just so you can see how they work. So I'm bringing up my Windows PowerShell and I'm running npm run test.bdd, and I forgot to mention here, let's go back to our screen. I forgot to mention that inside my package.json is where I've got my where I've configured certain npm scripts to be able to run certain tests. Here are my two TDDs, both interactive and non-interactive. The CI is non-interactive. Then the same thing to BDD. And these go to different Cypress configuration files so that it does different things, basically. Like, no big deal there. So let's go ahead and let's run test BDD. And what I'll do is I'll flip over to the second screen. And then on the second screen here, I will hit enter on my BDD, and it should appear up on the second screen, and there it is. Let's do the E2E testing. We'll test it on Chrome. And here, as you can tell, it found all of my different feature files. The only one we've been working on here is the begin screen, so let's click on begin screen. And like I said, I did put some errors in here on purpose so I can show you what a good test looks like and what a bad test would look like. So let's let it go ahead and finish itself up. All right, looks like nope, still going. All right, hang on, it's almost there. It's almost finished up. Now I think it's finished up. So we got 1 success and 4 errors. What are our errors? Well, our first success is start the game. We did actually start the game. Well, with the start the game here, what did we do? Is we checked to make sure that the header actions was visible, and as you can tell here, as I click on the left-hand side here, the right-hand side is going to change. So if I click on the next assert here, which is the main be visible, it's kind of highlighted where main is. And if the footer is visible, it's highlighted where the footer is. So it's kind of really nice in the interactive version where it shows you the screen it's working with. So you can make sure that, things like the blank screen is visible, and it does have the word racing game. That select area is not visible, so nothing's highlighted, and so on and so forth. But that was the successful test. What about the unsuccessful one? Well, this first one, what buttons are displayed? Well, it found the new button, it found the exit button, it found the what is that? Back button. It found the start button, it found the resume button, it found the cancel button, and so on and so forth. However, it says I should have no other buttons than the ones mentioned. Now, if you look back at our code, we actually have 7 buttons, but if you look at our top of our screen, we have 8 buttons. So we have a button there that's extra that should not be there. And the error message tells us that. Too many elements found 8, expected 7. So there we go. So that's one error. So what are some of the other errors here? Well, what buttons are active? It says, well, let's see, the new button is active, the other button is active. Oh, we got an error here. Expected the button back small to be disabled. Yeah, I should see the back button is inactive. Note the back button is active, so the back button is not disabled. So it looks like I'm missing disabled on a lot of these particular ones here. If you remember in our feature file, 2 of them were enabled, all the rest of them were disabled, so I've missed that too. Here we go, and finally, then I should see the select car screen, the visible blank screen not to be visible, timeout retrying, expected blank screen not to be visible. So this is after I click on the new button. I should expect the blank screen to be invisible, which is what I call the blank screen is the racing game screen. So that's an error, and when I click on the exit button, I should get a dialog box because the dialog is not there. So we got a number of errors. Let's go through these things one at a time and get them fixed to show you how easy it is to fix. So the first one we have here is that we have too many buttons up there. So let's go back over to our code. And within our code, we have, let's go to our screen here. Here are our 7 buttons: new, exit, back, start, pause, resume, and cancel. And what buttons do we actually have on the screen? Now let's see, we have new, start, back, pause, resume, exit, continue, and continue. Is that missing? Yes, there's no continue button, so there should not be a continue button. So let's go to our index.html, and let's take out the continue button. Cool. All right, I've saved that. Now, I am running all my tests off of what I call a preview version because I want to run the BDD test off at something as close to a development version as I possibly can. So I'm actually running off of a preview version, which I'll show you here in just a second. If I ever make changes to the test will rerun automatically. But if I make changes to the source code, like to the JavaScript file or the CSS file or the HTML file, I've got to rebuild the preview. And I'll show you that here in just a second. But I have now kill the cancel button. So that should have taken care of this first error. So let's take a look at that second error. Button, let's see, I should be able to see that the back button is inactive, and it is not inactive, it is active. So let's go back over to our code and notice that the back button, in fact, there's no buttons that are disabled here. So let's go over to our features. Our features are basically saying that we should have the back, start, pause, resume, and cancel button as inactive or disabled. Only new and exit should be active. So let's go back over to our index and let's put the word disabled. Start should be disabled. All right. Back button should be disabled. Pause button should be disabled. Resume button should be disabled. Exit button should not be disabled, so we keep that there, and the cancel button should be disabled. All right, so that should fix that second error there with the disabled buttons. All right, down here, let's see, when I click on the new button, I should see select car screen. When I click on it, I've clicked on the, if you can see it, notice I put a little red dot on the new button. That means, hey, I've done a click button. So I should see the blank, I should not see the blank, I should see the select car screen, which means I should not see the racing game screen. Well, I still see the racing game screen, so something went wrong. Let's go over to full screen. Well, we know the click event occurred, well, because we clicked on it. So what could be the issue here? Well, this is going to be JavaScript driven. So let's go to our racing game JavaScript and, oh no, it's all missing. Well, lucky for you, I have the code right here, all ready to go. So what I've done here is I'm pointing to the exit game dialog, I'm pointing to the blank screen, I'm pointing to the select car screen, and when I'm also doing an event listener for click on the button exit. Exit is going to do the show modal, which will be our modal dialog box, which is located, I'm getting sure it's on the screen right there. There's our modal dialog box. Doesn't do anything right now except just says exit the game, which is fine. Let's see, and then when I click on the button new, I'm going to hide the blank screen. I am going to remove the hidden from the select car screen, so the select car screen should then come up at that point. So that should be it. So like I said, now I have not changed any of the tests here. All these tests are still valid, but I have changed the JavaScript and the HTML. So what I need to do is I need to go into our code here. Okay, I want to make sure you can see it on the screen here. I want to do an npm run build. Let's go and build it, and then I'm going to do npm run preview. Spell it right. And that preview will start the preview server. And once we start the preview server, we should be okay. So let's now flip over to our screen, and let's go over to the run all test button. Let's run all test. And there we go. And as you can see here, let's go, when we click on the exit screen, we got an exit the game dialog box, which is interesting here, because if you take a look at it, Cypress, when you're into the Cypress screen here, the dialog box should be centered automatically, but it's not. I'm not worried about that, but I think that's pretty interesting. Is it has some issues with some of the dialog boxes, but that's not us. That's Cypress. I'm not going to worry about it. Or, you know, for instance, on the click on the new button here, we can click on the new button. When I have launched the racing game, I got the racing game, the first screen appears. When I click on the new button, I'm going to get the new button. I'm going to click on it. You can see the little red dot up. You can see the little red dot up here. Then I should see the select car screen. Yep, there it is, select cars. Obviously it doesn't do anything right now because I haven't got to the select car screen, but I just put a little P tag inside there, just to you know, a paragraph tag, just to make sure I've got something there so it can see. And so it basically says, is the blank screen hidden? It certainly is hidden. Is the select car screen there? It certainly is there. So that's basically it. That's the beauty and that's the wonder of BDD testing. Let's go back to our screen here. So this is one of the really nice things about feature testing, is that I've got these English scenarios here, which are very easy to read and very easy to understand. And it's very easy to be able to program all of those different exceptions here within the, or all these different tests, excuse me, within the step definitions. It's extraordinarily easy. And it also forces me, because I have so many different thens here, to basically have one test per then. Sometimes you can get away with two of them, you know, but it allows me to isolate one test at a time. So I strongly suggest, if you want to take a look at it, take a look at more at Cucumber, the Gherkin language here. I'm really impressed with it. This is the only screen I've done so far. I'm going to start working on more of these screens. So hopefully by the next video, we'll be actually starting to get into the coding of the game itself. So I really thank you very much for watching the video. Press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep on coding. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.